And when you introduce bases to DayZ, oftentimes it makes people very like it really puts people in a box. You've got faction versus faction, and you don't have the weird random encounters that you used to get in like classic DayZ.
I've never built a base in DayZ ever.
I've never built a base in DayZ either. It's never interested me. But
Yeah,
no, it's never interested me.
On a bridge. Took over a whole bridge in Livonia, built a massive base. That was insane.
I think the closest thing I've ever done to building a base in DayZ was back when barrels were first ever were fully integrated and working well with persistence. I helped run a server, and it was a PvP server, and I used to store a load of gear that I find at Northwest at the bridge near Vibor. I used to store it all in a bush near there, and that's the closest thing I've ever done to base building, is just storing a gun in a barrel. It just doesn't feel right for me personally. Base building.
Do you raid bases?
I've not raided a base that's like defended by like a wall and like jumped over it or anything like that. But I've definitely found like tents in the woods, and I've pretty much robbed them of everything they've got.
I'm got a attention span on really great base. I'm got attention span. I literally just want to murder as many people as I can in 3 hours.
My playstyle, for those who don't know, in DayZ is usually just get in the game. Maybe for the first 10 minutes, I'll run around the coast and see who I can meet and mess around with. Usually hostile, and then I'll just go up north, get gear, and just travel around as much as I can until I die, and that's it.
See, Miss Fu saying in chat, what point having guns in base though? See, I'm like that big fat old fucking dragon that likes to be curled up inside its cave, looking at all of its loot and all the rest of it. Me, I love that. I love having a good, well-stocked base and running back to it, and knowing I can gear up again. But at the same time, I love servers that don't have that. Like Day One and stuff like that. Not that I play on it a lot, but there's so many different ways to play DayZ, and each of them creates opportunities. Whether if you're not a base builder, you might become a professional base raider, and bases always attract attention as well. Whether it be door campers and stuff like that. There's always something happening around bases.
I think bases are kind of like having gear on bases for when you die, and I think it kind of depends on the server as well. If you're in like a really, really high PvP server, you just want to run back to your base as fast as you can, get another gear set, and try and go after the guy you've killed that has your gear and try and get revenge again. But
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like it changes the vision of DayZ quite a bit and turns it far more into a competitive experience than like a kind of goof around, have a spontaneous adventure with a spontaneous person sort of thing. Much like Rust. Like in Rust, you don't really interact with other people spontaneously. You've got your group and you're warring with other groups, and that's the entire thing. And when you introduce bases to DayZ, oftentimes it makes people very like it really puts people in a box. You've got faction versus faction, and you don't have the weird random encounters that you used to get in like classic DayZ.
But look at the oldest and original community server, DayZ Underground. Its whole premise is around factions. Plus, you've got a good smattering of lone wolves and players just roaming. But it's horses for courses, Ceremony. There's different servers to cater to everyone's playstyle. And again, this comes back to what we've been talking about. Some people need to realise that if you're joining a server, you need to accept the culture that server has and not try to make it what you want it to be.
Yeah, Ray, you've got to accept that organic roleplay.
Oh, fuck roleplay.
I've got no problem with, servers with bases and what have you. The only problem I have is that there's a lot of these faction war servers with bases and all that when you really deeply engage with the base raiding mechanics, you end up getting a lot of people kind of gunning for your head. So full disclosure, I'm currently banned from DayZ Underground. I was also banned from Baby Nades' Island. I was also briefly banned from Karma Crew, all for raiding bases within the confines of the rules. Because what tends to happen on servers with a lot of bases, community servers, is when you hit too many bases, people get very upset about their loot being touched, about their stashes, being taken, and they will form a campaign to get rid of you more often than not. And I see this on pretty much every community server that I've ever base rated consistently on. Um, and that's kind of disappointing to see within like the DayZ community, because official servers are, help like trash places full of hackers and dupers and
I will
awful
say that some
things.
community servers, some factions do get butthurt when the tables get turned on them. I've been raided myself, and I got very butthurt about it. I was running a trader faction, and one of the bigger factions came along and took fucking everything, and I got very upset about it. But I got past it, and again, I look back at it now, and it was one of the more intense moments of my DayZ playing time. Boy, Spud's in chat. The guy in charge of the server that I got raided on, he's calling me the king of butthurt.
Me and Marks got raided, didn't we, Marks?
Yes,
we the whole squad, and what was our response? It was just like, oh well, we knew it was gonna happen. That was it. Like we weren't. The thing is, if you get raided, it's not an issue. You can always build loot's there. It's not an issue for you. We just took it on the chin. We're like, sweet as. I mean, I don't think any of us were like, oh fuck this. We didn't bring it. Like it wasn't an issue for us, because raiding is part of the game. I mean, you just learn to live with that, and that's just the way it is. But
we had been raiding bases all week.
Oh yeah, we're pretty bad.
We were one of the richest clans on that server. With millions of dollars in rubles, and they were just everything was gone, and we didn't really care. Yeah, they even offlined us as well, which was,
and we weren't even angry. We just laughed. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, we'll just get it all again. Be fine.
Yeah. See, Ceramore says really.
Can't get rid if you don't have a base, boys.
I like what's being said in chat here. Ceramore has had more rules written due to his rating than any DayZ player. I think part of the issue comes down to the fact that DayZ has quite a few little bugs or exploits, unintended game features, sorry, that can be done to raid bases. There's one that's quite legendary on DayZ Down Under, Stairway to Heaven, where guys would stack planks or doors and jump up on them and get into the air, and you've seen servers where people place garden plots and use them to get over the top of walls and things like that. That said, on the surface, it we've kind of gone off the topic a bit, but there's rules, and then there's having too many rules. One of the problems I think a lot comes from people who are good at raiding. One of the problems I had back when I was playing on DayZ Down Under was I didn't raid bases, so I didn't know how to build a base to defend against raiding. And it wasn't until I started learning how to raid that you realise there are so many ways that aren't even exploits or glitches. Like, I remember locking a building down and thinking that the glass, which had bars through it, wasn't able to be jumped through. No, you could just walk through it like it doesn't exist because of the way DayZ is set up. And there's, I remember talking about it, and some people were really, really upset about the fact that that was allowed. And it was kind of like, well, how are admins meant to monitor people building a ramp, a watchtower, and then jumping through a glass window? They can't. Unless they're there in admin mode, they're not going to know what's happened. So, you've just got to... My advice to people who love base building is start raiding so you can understand the weaknesses of your own base better. Because if you don't, people like Ceramore, Cairo, they're just going to dominate you.
Ooh.
I like that word, dominate.
Yeah.
Yes, Daddy.
I know Ray will say something about it. As soon as it's dominated,
Flutter, flutter.
And I find the back and forth between like base raiders and base builders constantly, having kind of an arms race to figure out what little bit can be, and I use this word not in the, explaining the game way, but like the security flaw that can be exploited to get into a base. I think that's one of the most fascinating things about base raiding is finding the weird jumps that you can do, finding the interesting areas where you can kind of speed things along and not do the 2 hours of hitting the wall with an axe.
I think a
And
lot of sorry to cut you off, but I think a lot of people try and look for that flaw or that way to get in as well, because you don't want to waste materials. If you can save more materials by you crawling under something or being able to hop through a window or something like that, you're going to save yourself more stuff. So then you can raid another base maybe later on that same day or something like that, and you can just kind of keep going. I think that's why a lot of people do as well. They're just always trying to find a way to save either it's C4 or sledgehammers or anything like that, and just getting quicker as well.
yeah, and I feel like there's certain groups that see those types of things, and instead of like thinking, oh, we should have thought about that bit that we missed, like this wall that was too close to a fence so they could make the hop, or what have you, and instead of thinking like, oh, we got to go back to the drawing board, we got to tighten up security, we got to make this even harder for these people, they just kind of complain and go, well, was that a valid thing for them to do? I'm not sure. Maybe we should remove this person from the server. And I see that a little too often, I feel, on several different servers.
Part of the issue where a lot of the butthurt comes from, though, Uncle Ray, is I'm not talking about the servers where you start with 100k rubles and you just go to the trader and buy a car and fill it full of trading stuff and go build a base. But on your more vanilla style servers, it's a lot of effort that goes into building a base. And then to lose it all from one little glitch or exploit that you weren't aware of, yes, you're responsible for making sure you do have the knowledge and information, but that really triggers a lot of people, Ray.
Well, I can understand that, but my view would be, if you're gonna get that upset about losing stuff, don't build a base in the first place.
Yeah.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Simple. Like if you're gonna put all your stuff and all your time and effort into one area and think, oh shit, if I lose this, I'm gonna be really pissed. Don't do it. Simple. Don't put yourself in the position to get pissed off.
Yeah.
It's just like that with anything in DayZ, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if something triggers you so bad, don't do the thing that you know is going to trigger you.
To me, the adrenaline rush of DayZ, the thing that makes DayZ like get my heart racing, and unlike any other game, is the fact that when you die, you lose everything. You go back to square one, and you're just a fresh spawn. You have nothing, and that's also the intensity I feel with bases. Like I do play Rust, and that is one of the worries when you're getting raided. It's like, I don't want to go back to square one, but that's not a bad thing. I feel like a lot of people treat that as a bad thing, but I think that's what makes DayZ so special, and makes it so that you act realistically in firefights, unlike other games. You don't run and gun, you're careful, you're considerate, because it's such a setback to lose. And that's what I love about it. And if there are servers, there's a lot of servers out there that put a lot of protections on loot in bases. Like they say, okay, you're allowed to raid, but only take what you can carry. Don't break the boxes, don't steal everything, don't take more than 50% of the loot.
Don't do a malicious raid.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't understand why loot set in a pile is so much more special than loot on your person. If you shoot somebody, that's your loot. You can throw it in the river for all you care. But for some reason, when you spend 8 hours breaking into a base, that's not your loot, and you need to leave it, and they need to be able to come back. And I disagree with that mentality. I think that's like antithetical to what DayZ has always been supposed to be. And I think it's disappointing that a lot of servers are kind of going in that direction of providing kind of these safe zones for loot.
If it was me though, what I don't understand, like you say, if you're going to break into a base, why the fuck wouldn't you rinse it dry? Why
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's part about you've got to consider the admin side of things. I don't know how many of you guys have run a server, but
Yeah, I have.
For the admins, it's a constant delicate balance of making sure that when people come in and they destroy everything, it's heartbreaking for the players, rightly or wrongly. You've got to just to acknowledge the fact that it's going to be heartbreaking for someone to lose every single thing, like every wall destroyed, every container taken or destroyed. It's a case of why would you do that? Then it starts to become a bit malicious and punitive, which is almost nasty to an essence. Maybe on a role play server, if there was a war between the factions, they'd come in and destroy it all and leave a note. We warned you, but in a general community, yeah, it's probably going a bit too far to destroy every single little thing.
That's what happened to me in Cairo when we got raided yesterday. The only thing that was left in that was base was the 2 walls that we built.
The thing is, we weren't really bothered though, because it's
No, we
that
weren't, no.
server, right? You can get loot fairly easy, right? It's not like a RP server or like that sort of community of a server. You know what I'm saying? So realistically, we weren't bothered by that.
No, we weren't bothered. No, but
This is the risk with modding, I'm afraid.
But everybody
risk.
just they taken everything, destroyed what they could and stuff, and it is what it is.
The biggest issue that you guys aren't recognizing here is, and Scale Speeder said something about it in there. He mentioned offline raiding, and that I think is where a lot of the butthurt comes from. One thing DayZ doesn't have is a way to defend your base when you're not online. Like if you're online, you rarely see people get butthurt if they're online and they're able to fight with the attackers and maybe they die and so on. Then it's a case of, oh, well, at least we tried, we were there. But when you wake up, log on, and someone's jumped onto your base at 2 o'clock in the morning and raided everything when there was no one there to defend, that's where the emotion comes in. And DayZ needs to implement... whether it be a modder or DayZ itself, needs to implement devices that you can put in your base to make, to at least when you log in and see your base has been raided, but you see that your explosives or your booby traps have all been triggered, to know that some of those motherfuckers died. It's one of the. I'm playing Scum at the moment. It's one of the things they've got is traps, and when you log back in, you get a notification that your traps were activated. And you sit there and you chuckle. Motherfucker, you tried to raid my base and you died. Like landmines. But yeah, that's where a lot of the butthurt comes from. And I probably should have elaborated on that before, but it's offline raiding that upsets a lot of people. And we all know it happens. People, it's generally a faction thing. These factions that will jump on at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning when they know there's only 5 or 6 people on the server. Not that you'd ever get that on day one these days. That thing's fucking full 24/7, but they don't have bases. But yeah, when you're raiding offline, that's where a lot of the butthurt comes from. Like for you guys, Marks and Kyra, it must have been disappointing we weren't even here to have a chance to defend.
Honestly, it was slightly.
Yeah, that was the only annoying thing, I think.
I didn't really feel anything. Like it was like, that's annoying. Oh, well, let's go and loot. Let's go and do something. You know what I mean? It wasn't.
Well, I think what happened there was as well, we had kind of loot somewhere else in another place as well, so we didn't lose
smart.
100% of everything. We lost 95% of everything.
Oh yeah,
but we still had some. We had some stuff still there, so we weren't 100% broke.
And that's a very smart point. That people who get raided and lose everything, again, it's on you. I learned the hard way. And we started to diversify. We would have a few bases, and we would split up the resources between those bases, so that if one of them got raided, particularly being a streamer, you're showing the inside of your base, so people watch your stream. Yes, they're not stream sniping you, but they're gaining meta information just by watching your stream. I've had raids done on my bases on DayZ Down Under, where the exact path they took through walls led straight to what I called my vault, which had all the best loot in it. So it was either purely coincidence or the motherfuckers have been watching my stream and knew right now this one, then this one, and bang, we're in. They did it through the minimal, I had a maze of fucking paths set up and that. But yeah, so that's probably the one thing that, if you're doing offline raids, Foxy's saying in chat there, he's never been able to defend a raid in DayZ ever. Nobody online raids at all. Some people do, but most raids on these faction servers happen offline, Cairo.
Yeah, I mean, we tried literally the raid I'd done from my recent upload. Right, we literally told him, he was in his base. We said, all right, after restart, we're gonna come raid you. We told him because we wanted an online raid, right? I mean, I do try to online as much as I can. There's somewhere I've just completely wiped, and it's good. It's a good feeling. But sometimes you just can't. Like if you go to a base, say you're traveling from, I don't know, say Vybor, for example, and then you go all the way to Severograd, right? You get there, there's a base, right? You're ready to raid. You know where the base is. You presume it's midday. You presume they're online. You get there, they're not
Yeah.
online. What are you going to do? You're not going to turn around. You're not going to turn around and not raid them.
Yeah, and times like that,
Yeah.
that's perfectly acceptable. It's when it's those 2, 3 a.m. in the midnight raids and that when the server pops at its lowest and you sit there and you go,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
done-
I know a
that
few.
before.
I know a few people who's done that. Dude.
I've done that, so I have to admit.
yeah.
Doesn't the whole thing sort of hop back to just play the game how you want? Or if you want to murder everyone in the spawn zone, do that. If you want to go south, do that. If you want to raid someone, absolutely wipe the fucking base clean, you can do it. If you want to be nice and leave some shit, you can do it.
You chose to build a base. You chose to fill it full of loot. You chose to make an attractive target that people are going to target.
Yeah.
And Spud said earlier in chat, they used to have quite a few rules around raiding. Now they've limited it down to don't glitch, don't hack, otherwise have at it. Because it just gets too much at times for admins. The more rules they have, the more butthurt people get.
And also as well, the bigger the base, usually the easier it is to actually find a way in.
Yeah.
Without using like
All the
C4 or
time.
anything like that. Because there's always something that they'll leave out or they'll miss and you can just get straight in.
Spend some
like a
time
slight
raiding.
lip.
If you're a base builder,
Yeah.
spend some time raiding and speak to people who raid. I had people reach out to me on DayZ Down Under and they said, Boydie, this is the problems with your bases. And I used to reach out to the raiding factions when I was a neutral trader and say, come and look at my base and tell me what's wrong with it. And, after I got a bit of a decent reputation as a okay bloke, they'd come in and say, here's your weaknesses. If I was going to raid it, I'd be going through here. And they'd show me shit, and I'd sit there and go, I had no fucking clue you could jump off of there and land on top of the wall. And it just became a learning experience for me. So in the end, it's your own responsibility to make sure your base is as raid proof as possible.